Hey, it's Chuck. We are not bemoaning the noon kickoff. We are now owning it. It's a badge of honor. We're the lunatic fringe that defines our coach's legacy when it comes to this game. They don't get to define that outside the family. We're cut from a different cloth. For Ohioans, he's got it all, man. He's even got the jaw. You know the jaw. You see that jaw, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's a dude. Do I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma? No way in hell. I don't know what world I'm living in. This is insane to me. And if you saw my outburst, I apologize. It's showtime now. It is showtime. Welcome into Buckeye Huddle Primetime. Appreciate you so much for joining me as I am running a little late, guys. Sorry. Trying to do a new, one of those new, what do you call them? Bottom thirds. You're the bottom third. You get the nice Buckeye Huddle Primetime. And I had a special thing to put on there today, which is a call-in show. Today, I'm going to take some phone calls later on in the day after I run a few segments. If you guys want to call in, there is a link, and that is below the description of the video. You can watch the show from behind the wall there in the studio while I'm rolling here. And don't worry, I won't pull you up on screen. If you're shy, you don't need to be seen. It'll just be your voice. So we'll do that later on as we get into the show. And we got a lot to talk about today. The Buckeyes obviously polish off UCLA, cover the spread again, and we will hit on the game. But we're kind of at the point here where we're more looking forward. And I don't mean looking forward to Rutgers. I'm kind of dreading Rutgers. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the game, and I'm starting to feel the itch, the excitement. How did the boys in blue do over the weekend? Why do they hate their coach so much, aside from the fact that he's a moron? We'll talk about that a bit today, as well as the class of 2026. Another ridiculous weekend, and there is more to come, as we have now seen 8 members join this class since the middle of November. The biggest heater we've ever seen out of Ohio State recruiting. We got 2 guys that are about to make a decision here in, I believe, about a week. And I think both of them might end up being Buckeyes, which would make 10 guys in a month's time, which is absolutely insane. We've got some crazy new rankings out of Rivals. Rivals updated their on 300. And these new rankings have, if you're a fan of the Big Ten and a fan of the power kind of swinging to the north in college football, you're going to be amazed by what this looks like in the 5-star category, because it's never been like this. And I mean, never. I've got to call out some hypocrisy tonight, some hypocrisy from some people I respect, people I admire, because there are some people who are being a little bit disingenuous about this recent surge in Ohio State recruiting. We'll talk about that too. And again, please do like the video. We're here every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Share it, like it, subscribe to the Buckeye Huddle channel if you haven't already. It is the currency by which we operate here in this YouTube biz. So we'd appreciate that. But let's start today with the big issue that everybody wants to talk about, and that's Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Ohio State, I think, can beat anybody in the country playing themselves, their entire game, what they play on offense, how they are on defense, like just being themselves. They can beat anybody. Can they beat anybody down a man or two? Can they beat anybody down those 2 men? I think that we've seen Georgia emerge as the top competition here as we're kind of winding down the end. They're peaking. They look strong. They just whooped Texas. By the way, Steve Sarkisian, who has been talked about in the same category as Ryan Day and Kirby Smart, he played last October, Texas. And since that game, he's played Texas 3 total times. I'm sorry, he's played Georgia 3 total times, and he's played Ohio State 2 times. So 5 games he's played in just over a year, which is kind of unlucky, with Georgia and Texas combined. And this guy's lost all 5. He's 0 for 5. So clearly he's brought Texas up, but still a step below. Georgia, to me, is the team now that's coming into form. I think they're going to win the SEC, and they're now an offensive team. They're a totally different look, man. These guys, Gunnar Stockton is a dude. Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, they've all been ragging on for years. He looks good, and they look like they could score 24 points on Ohio State. Buckeyes got to be able to score on them. The good news is they're not defensively as strong as they used to be. They got the 20th ranked defense. They're not dominant anymore on defense. But if the Buckeyes aren't healthy, none of that matters. And if they don't have the two best wide receivers in the country, are they even going to make it there? How are those two? People are freaking out. Stories are all over the place. I'll show you a comment that just came in before we even started from our guy Woody's. It's weird that Tate was dressed for Purdue, but not for UCLA. I don't think this is the reason, but he's not protecting his draft stock, right? Tell me I'm crazy. And that's what's been going around. Obviously, this all started. People think mistakes are being made. People think that maybe they're being lied to. And I want to talk about it. So heading back to the Purdue game, Carnell Tate was supposedly tight in warmups, and he didn't play. And then heading into the UCLA game, he's now on the injury report for the second game in a row. And Jackson Smith and Jigba stuff starts swirling around. Was he going to shut it down for the season? It's not ridiculous in this era. And we've talked about it before these playoffs or before this 12-team playoff era even started, that might we see sometime when we got a player who potentially sits out the playoffs, like we see players sit out bowl games. And I don't think it's crazy to think that that's going to happen. I think we probably will see it. And when we do, we'll probably see a couple more guys follow suit in the consecutive years. It'll happen at some point. I would be absolutely stunned if the first time we ever saw that it happened from Ryan Day's Ohio State Buckeyes. I would absolutely be stunned. The team with the very best, look, I always say they have the very best culture. And to be honest, I don't know that. What I know is this. Nobody has a better culture at this level of college football. At this level of college football, there is no better. We'll put it that way. And I think you can say that fairly. Carnell Tate, additionally, when we talk about that, like if you're his agent and you're talking to Carnell, would you want him to sit out? I mean, he's a first-round draft pick now, but he still has room to maximize. He can still move up. And each one of those spots is a lot of money. He's still got room to improve, and there's no better way to do that than showing out on the biggest stage against the best competition. If it was Jeremiah could have sat out all this year and all next year. He's got no room to improve. But for Carnell, he's got some room to go still. So if you are his agent, you wouldn't even advise him to do that anyway. So no, I absolutely don't think Carnell is shutting this down to improve his draft stock. And I don't think that, I understand the fear because, we've been through situations where we've seen guys shut it down. And it's scary when you're looking at this team and how dominant they've been with those two wide receivers to think all of a sudden, like when Jeremiah pops up on the injury report as questionable on Saturday with that news swirling around with Carnell, like it was full blown, like what's going on here? And, I get it. To me, I'm thinking good. I don't want Jeremiah to play. Let him sit out. I want to see Bryson Rodgers and Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham against UCLA anyway. And we'll talk about those performances. Unbelievably disappointing, to be honest. But I was thinking, cool, let the both of them sit. And then we see Jeremiah warming up. How did he look during warmups? Absolutely fine. How do you look in the game? Electric. 4 for 40. That one-handed catch that he made, to me, he's made more impressive catches. But for some reason, that one just looked like he was a giant. Just looked like a giant. So halftime comes. He doesn't play anymore. And at no time during the first half did we see him get injured. At no time did we see him come out of the game. He didn't go to the injury tent. And then in the second half, we see him on the sideline with an incredibly awkward-looking limp. And here he is heading down the tunnel at the end of the game. All right, that looks concerning. But at the same time, he was taking like smaller, choppier steps on the field. But here's the thing, man. Body language is a huge thing. Like we all know how important Jeremiah is. They all know how important Jeremiah is. Jeremiah was laughing. He was having fun on the sidelines. Nothing seemed serious to him. What did Ryan Day say after the game? He said Jeremiah had a little nagging issue, and we felt like we were going to hold him, make sure he's 100% for the next week, and asked a follow-up. He said Jeremiah was just having a little bit of a nagging issue, and we just wanted to make sure we were being smart as we know what's coming down the road. Then he was asked, does he have any concern about either Jeremiah or Carnell long-term? And he said immediately no. And obviously, he's not going to tell us the truth. That's a trade secret, right? He doesn't give out injury information, and who would want him to? But when we talk about body language and things of that nature, everybody around Jeremiah that night, including Ryan Day, nobody seemed bugged out at all. But it is very curious. It is very curious that limp, like, if he said that this was an injury that was nagging, number one, does that mean he's kind of sore like that after the game? Does that usually happen? Maybe we just don't see it because he's not out on the sideline after the game. I don't know, but I just feel like there would have been definitely a different demeanor if this were something serious from everybody around him. Like, Ryan Day's on the cusp of trying to make the national championship again. And as valuable as Carnell Tate is, nobody's as valuable as Jeremiah Smith to him in that pursuit. And he looked totally fine. And I talked to somebody today who would very much know the situation. And we talked for a little while about Jeremiah, about the limp. And I was told in no uncertain terms, we have nothing to worry about. Everybody's dinged up. JJ isn't anything more than that. So for whatever that's worth to you, I feel totally fine about this. I don't think there's any big deal at all. I wish I could explain away why that looks so bad, but I don't know. Nothing happened during the game. He's fine. Next week, you got Rutgers. And my gosh, man, thank goodness it's the last game of this stretch. You got Rutgers, and if, let's say, for instance, Carnell doesn't play against Rutgers, well, that would be 4 weeks rest, essentially, right? So he doesn't. So from Wisconsin was the last game he played. So from Wisconsin to Purdue, then Purdue to UCLA, then UCLA to Rutgers, then Rutgers to Michigan. That's 4 full weeks. Jeremiah, if he doesn't play against Rutgers, then the last time he would have played would have been Purdue. So a week from Purdue to UCLA, then a week from UCLA till the game, and then he's got 2 full weeks of rest. If you'd have held him against UCLA, it could have been 3 full weeks, which I think some people are thinking, well, why even play him in the first half then if he's got a nagging injury or a nagging issue, he said, not injury. And I would say I probably agree. There was obviously no need to play him. You won by 38 points. But some people are saying, I want to see those guys play if they're healthy against Rutgers. You want to keep them sharp. You want to keep the passing game sharp. I don't know, man. I don't subscribe to that for this one. Not when I saw that limp like that. That just looks a little too concerning to risk it for that. You know what I mean? Save him for the 29th. Make sure he's fresh. And that's all I really have to say about the two of them as we move on to Mylan Graham, who played 42 plays in the game. Bryson Rogers, 38. Quincy Porter with 9. David Adolph with 13. And Phil Bell with 3. Mylan Graham had 3 receptions on 7 targets. He was lined up in the slot 3 times. He was lined up out wide 19 times, 40 total yards, 21 of them after the catch. Didn't have any drops this week like he did last week, but it was pretty clear there were quite a few miscommunications here and there, and he didn't really help Julian out much at all. Looked quite a bit smaller out there, like for contested balls. There was a contested ball once, and it was like, man, he looks kind of small getting up there when you're used to seeing Carnell. And I know a lot of people expected that Mylan was ready and you could just plug him in and boom, you got another quality wide receiver who's a freak athlete. And there's no doubt that's a 5-star athlete. That jumps out at you every time you see him out there. We saw him in the spring game running after the catch, and he looks like a deer when he's running with the ball in his hands. But a couple of weeks ago, Ryan Day said, when asked about Mylan Graham, he's practicing better. And when I hear that, that throws up alarm bells to me. He's practicing better. Sounds like he was not practicing well. And he said the last spring about Jelani Thurman, and kind of went into a little bit further detail about Jelani. And as we know, Jelani didn't play much at all last year. Now we got Milan in his second year, and he's definitely not as good as he's going to be. But, there was a lot of people saying this is Garrett Wilson here. Garrett Wilson was way more advanced than this as a freshman. Like, Garrett Wilson would have caught, 5 of those balls in that game right there. Milan, he's got a ways to go still, I think. So I can't wait to see him at Rutgers with a third straight game of reps at Rutgers, at home against Rutgers, and see what happens with another week practicing with Julian, because they definitely weren't not in sync at all. Bryson Rogers had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 27 yards. And interestingly enough, he's been kind of the backup slot behind Ennis, but he played 25 snaps out wide, just 1 in the slot. Bryson got a touchdown. I thought he looked much more crisp in his route running, but he's always been fantastic at that. It was a pretty savvy touchdown, broke off his route. His defender fell down, but he stayed with it, did exactly what he should have done. The hands look good. Bryson's coming around. He's coming around. But when we talk about those two, man, there were people calling for both of them to play over Brandon Ennis. Ennis played excellent against UCLA, led the team in receptions, 6 total grabs for 40 yards. He was the Buckeye of the game. And freshman Quincy Porter also played, got 1 target, 1 reception for 14 yards. 4 receptions on the year for Quincy, who has now just played 4 regular season games. So that'll probably be it for him to preserve his red shirt. Not that he'll ever need it. That's a 3 and done dude, man. That guy is absolutely going to be a stud. That is very evident. And I can't wait to see him play. Maybe he'll get some reps in the playoffs. Who knows? But to me, I feel like he is further along than Milan. I don't even think it's pretty close. It's close at all, really, to be honest. As for the running backs, man, was that a game. That was so much fun. There is nothing that feels better to me than when the running game is working at Ohio State, because it is just, it's sensational to watch. Over 200 yards between those backs, 3 backs, Isaiah West, Bo Jackson, James Peoples, all ran good. They had 4 total touchdowns between them. Bo Jackson, another 100-yard game, his 3rd on the year, busted off a 32-yarder. Isaiah West had 8 carries for 61 yards, 7.6 yards per carry. Isaiah had 2 explosive runs, including a 38-yarder. Jimmy DePeoples, 6 carries for 42 yards, and everybody wants to talk about the hurdle. The hurdle was cool. Most of the time, you don't see those hurdles convert into a touchdown or even more yards. They usually hurdle. They come down and land the hurdle, and they're off balance, and they either fall or they get hit, or it doesn't work. And that's why I'm kind of against the hurdle, to be honest. I mean, it looks cool, but generally it's kind of a risky move, and you don't ever get much out of it. He actually landed the damn hurdle and then scored a touchdown. It's a very rare occurrence, very rare. So props to him for that. But the better run was the run before that from Peoples to the left-hand side, where he caused like 2 missed tackles on one run. He caused 4 missed tackles on the night. And Jimmy DePeoples ran great. I think he earned himself some more PT, and that's fantastic. You feel great for him after having a season that has started off terribly, got jumped by 2 freshmen, and now he's come back 2 games in a row and run very, very well. So that was really good news. It was nice to see the running game without CJ Donaldson, to be quite honest, to see those 3 guys getting in a rhythm, getting confidence, and not getting pulled out every short yardage situation to take them out of rhythm, then put them back in, then get down to the goal line and pull them back out. And we saw Bo Jackson finally get his shot in short yardage, and he carried 5 guys on his back from the 6-yard line to the 1. And then from the 1 to the goal line, he knifed through so fast, they barely got out of their stance. An infinitely better 224-pound short yardage back is Bo Jackson. Isaiah West also scored a touchdown that did not count, but it was a touchdown. And the next play, he got in from short yardage too. As a whole, the week prior, these guys, they ran for just, I think 4.5 yards a carry and 3 yards after contact. This game against UCLA, 7 yards a carry between the three of them and 4.5 yards after contact, which means they were both rushed for more yards per carry, more yards per contact, and they were rushing for more yards before they got first contact, which means the offensive line was doing their job. And I hammered the offensive line last week. They deserve to be hammered. They played terrible against a Purdue team that is 76th ranked in the country on defense. And that was their second game in 3 games after the Wisconsin debacle, that this veteran group played really, really bad. And it raises questions. Absolutely. And I gave them the business. I did. And then they bounced back and were excellent. Now, admittedly, UCLA has a terrible run defense, 96th in the country, but I don't care. They got their mojo back. The offensive line looked fantastic. They blocked the hell out of them. I'm proud of them. And when we talk about the difference in personnel from Purdue to this game, Ian Moore was out. Phil Daniels was back in, and Phil had a great day run blocking. Not as good pass blocking, but that's kind of always Phil. Tegra Shabola, the topic of, I would say, probably the most conversation all week last week when it comes to the offensive line. Tegra played just 26 snaps, which are the fewest snaps he's played all year by a lot. And Gabe Van Sickle played 44. We've had the whole talk for weeks about, should Josh Padilla be eaten into more of these snaps from Tegra? Padilla gets injured, and they're so dead set on this happening, getting Tegra out of there. You see Van Sickle against Purdue play 20 snaps. The very next game, he plays 44. And I think when Padilla comes back, you could even see Van Sickle and Padilla eating into those snaps. But it tells us that everything you've been seeing and being irritated with Tegra and the consistent errors, they've obviously been seeing too, and they want changes too, because that 44 snaps that Van Sickle played is double what we've usually been seeing that guy who's coming in to spell Tegra has played anytime this year. And I think we'll continue to see that. Defensively, they gave up 10 points. That's more than the average, but it was a trash time touchdown at the end. Zion Grady, so happy that we're seeing him come along. He had his career high in snaps with 18. He had 3 total tackles, looked like a grown man. He's bullying dudes in there. Ty Malone was back after a week off. He played 21 snaps, played very well, a couple of tackles. Caden Curry was a monster, 5 total tackles in just 26 snaps. Bryce West had 14 snaps. Aaron Scott got 20, and Devin Sanchez had more snaps than IGB at 29. And it's clear that they're trying to accelerate the Devin Sanchez learning curve. And it's not abnormal for a freshman to be really good at corner. We're watching it in Oregon. There is a freshman that Ohio State was in on named Brandon Finney. Not Naeem Offord, not Dorian Bell, but Brandon Finney out of Virginia, who I really wanted. And at one point looked like, we had a good shot at him. He's absolutely killing it as a freshman corner at Oregon. Devin Sanchez was targeted in this game 6 times, gave up 5 receptions, missed a tackle, 80-some yards, and he had the lowest defensive grade on the team, and it was a really rough outing for Devin. Devin has now played 242 snaps on the year. To put that into perspective, that is just 50 fewer than Lorenzo Styles. So he's played a lot this season at this point. And, playing that many snaps, you can say now after 10 games, you're not really a freshman anymore. You're not really a freshman at double-digit games when you've played in so many games and played that many snaps. Now, Devin, the future, incredibly bright. We know that all the tools are there, all the skills are there, but he played against Texas, man. He rolled out against Texas. You can't be getting destroyed like that. You can't be getting destroyed like that, giving up a long ball. You can't be missing tackles. You can't be getting, the touchdown was on a rub route. I get it. But to be honest, he was beat by 2 steps before the rub even got to him. He's got to be better. He's got to be better. That's the number 1 cornerback in the country. And now he's played 8 games now, I believe. So his worst performance of the year has actually come in the last 3 games, Purdue, Wisconsin, and UCLA. And before that, it was Texas. So whatever's going on, man, obviously I got faith in Devin, but He's got to play better. They may need him here in this run. The Buckeyes moved to 9-1-1 against the spread. They gain one more or two more, maybe even three more AP votes. That doesn't really matter. They're the solid number one, as we know. Tomorrow, you got the new playoff rankings coming out. There will be a little bit of change, obviously, as Alabama lost to Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma was 11 and Bama was 4. They lost at home, and the Oklahoma players tried to. So the Alabama, team helpers or whatever they are, they roped off the middle of the field. They roped off the logo in the middle of the field. And the Oklahoma players walked over their little rope to take pictures on the logo. And the Alabama workers were trying to chase them off the logo. And it was just a funny scene unfolding as the Oklahoma guys were trying to disrespect them. They beat them 2 years in a row now. And this is, you think back to the game last year, these things cause big time fights, right? You disrespect somebody, it's going to cause a fight. The Alabama guys were already in the locker room, so they weren't there to fight, but it could have been ugly. Anyway, Ohio State 30-plus point favorites against Rutgers this week. And this is finally it. This 5-game stretch of total hell. 5-game stretch that Ohio State has been 25 to 30 point favorites and just whooping guys. And I like to see a good butt whooping every now and again. But this stretch, we have played two teams that had just fired their coach this year in UCLA and Penn State. Purdue just hired this brand new coach. And Wisconsin with Luke Fickell, a coach who we thought was probably going to get fired at the end of this year. Those are the 4 opponents. And now we got Rutgers. Luke's going to be he's going to be retained for another year, and good for him. I'm happy for him. But Wisconsin was awful. They were all awful. They were all awful. And now Rutgers, the punchline of every joke. It is not a good thing, in my opinion, to play 5 games in a row of just dreadful competition. And then the first game back is the most important game of the regular season. So already that's got me somewhat stressed. But this game, Michigan comes off a win where they beat Northwestern on a last-second field goal. Bryce Underwood looked a lot better than he looked the previous game. And he was on the road. He hasn't played well on the road. Looked really good by his standards. So they win 24-22. Underwood was 21 of 32 for 280 yards and another 30 yards rushing, 300 total yards, 310. 2 interceptions on the day. Ohio running back Jordan Marshall, 19 for 142. And their freshman stud wide receiver, Andrew Marsh, 12 receptions for 189 yards. The dude's really good. Michigan did lose 3 fumbles on the day, and they probably would have won a little bit bigger had they not lost those fumbles. But they had an opportunity to win the game late. And I want to go through this scenario with you because the Michigan folk aren't too happy about the way this was handled. The first possession of the game, their field goal kicker misses a 34-yarder. Then before halftime, they line up for a 60-yard attempt on a wing and a prayer, and they miss it. So, yes, he technically had missed 2 field goals up to that point, but I don't really count a 60-yarder that's just a prayer as a missed field goal. He missed a 34-yarder. So Michigan takes the ball over with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they're down by 1 point. They take the ball over at their own 40, and they drive it to the Northwestern 24. It's now 4th and 1. There are 4 minutes left, and they're faced with a decision. Do we take a 41-yard field goal attempt and try to take the lead by 2 points? Or do we go for it on 4th and 1, and if we don't get it, we hope that we get the ball back? Now, of note, in the prior 3 possessions, Northwestern had scored 2 touchdowns on them. So it's not like, if we don't get it, we'll just get the ball right back and shut them down immediately. What is the move in that situation? Do you kick the 41-yard field goal and try to take the lead? Or do you go for it on 4th and 1 and try to continue the drive and give the ball back if you miss it with 4 minutes left and risk them potentially getting a couple first downs and ending the game? Sherrone Moore chose to bypass the 41-yard field goal attempt and go for it. They don't get it. They fumble the ball. Northwestern promptly gets it. And after 3 plays and -8 yards. They give it right back to Michigan with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock. Michigan drives down for the winning field goal. Now, I wanted Michigan to win the game ultimately because I want the stakes to be as high as they possibly can be in 2 weeks when Ohio State rolls up in there. And if they beat Maryland, we're going to get those stakes. And the stakes are, if Michigan beats Ohio State, they're in the playoffs. If they lose, they're not. And outside of just the normal realm of the game, that is about as high as the stakes can be, other than both teams have the opportunity to make it to the Big Ten championship, whoever wins. And I love it. All they got to do is beat Maryland. But at the same time, I really wanted them to lose just because of the decision that Sherrone Moore made, and he would have been so cooked, man. But they hate him. I was bebopping around their message boards. They hate that guy, man. They want him out so bad. And you got some that defend him. It's like we're going to be 9-2 heading into the game. I don't care. It's the schedule. Every team with a pulse we play, we get destroyed, which is kind of true. But they are 9-2. Well, they're going to be 9-2. And I don't know what the right decision is in that situation. I think that if you're really nervous, your field goal kicker is going to miss it. But this field goal kicker, this Zavada kid's the same kid that they've had. I don't know what he's done on the year, but he was like, all Big Ten last year. And they were bragging about him quite a bit. So anyway, game coming up here in 2 weeks. And the word on the street, and this is kind of flying around with a lot of people. I'm hearing this quite a bit lately. Most recently from Tom Withers. Tom Withers is a writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Of course, he's an NFL guy. And I don't know why these NFL guys feel the need to weigh in on college football. But this dude tweeted this today. Ohio State could wind up sitting Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate for Michigan. The game remains important, but not as much as winning the Big Ten title or defending the national championship. Well, Mr. Withers, number one, you got to win the game to make it to the Big Ten championship. That's the first part of that. Number two, the Big Ten championship, I don't know about you guys, but to me, you got that list of goals every year to beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, and win the national championship. And they kind of go in order chronologically, but in order of priority, like the game is so far in a way above the Big Ten championship to me that it's not really in the same category. I can't tell you the years we won the Big Ten championship. When I was younger, maybe, but not since they started playing it in Indianapolis. It doesn't mean much to me. It never has. It's all about the game, and the Big Ten championship feels like, all right, if you needed it to make it to the playoff, yeah, it's a huge game, but not because you win the Big Ten trophy. This doesn't mean much to me. The game will always mean more to me than the Big Ten championship. And I've had this conversation before, but I am sitting here and the wall behind me is not the only wall that's full of crap all over. Like it's all over the place down here. And I don't think there's a single, not one piece of Big Ten champion memorabilia in here. There's something of everything. I got like shirts of every bowl game. I got something of everything. I don't have any of that. Emily says the Cavs colors tonight are wild. I don't know what the Cavs are wearing. Brennan has Brown season tickets also. Really hard to keep them. My gosh, man. We could talk about that. As for the national championship, of course, the national championship is more important than any regular season game against your rival. But this particular game against Michigan, this one is incredibly important. I want to know what means more to you guys, the Big Ten championship or the game. What do you think means more to Ryan Day? Let's put it that way. Ryan Day has more Big Ten championships than he does wins against Michigan. He does. So by that note, I would say, I know the game's more important to him. Like there's no doubt about it. He's not sitting there in an interview a week before the Big Ten championship saying the last time I lost the Big Ten championship, it hurt as much as almost anything in my life other than losing my dad. Do you think Ryan Day would say that about losing the Big Ten championship? Because I don't. So I guess we'll put it that way. Case closed. The Big Ten championship, lower on the list of priorities, though still a goal. It's a goal. Lower on the list of priorities. let's talk Heisman Trophy for a minute. A little bit of a Heisman update. It didn't go good for Julian Sayin this week. One of the things that has been dumped on him as a criticism is he plays with the best wide receivers in the country, right? Okay. He plays with the best wide receivers in the country. As we got some callers here, and we'll hop on with a caller here after this one. But it's true that he has the best wide receivers in the country, and I think a lot of us would push back and say, yes, he does play with the best wide receivers in the country, but if they subbed in his number 2 or number 3 guy, things would certainly be fine. You might see the percentage dip a little bit, but not much. And then the first week, throwing to Bryson Rodgers and Mylan Graham later in the game, Mylan Graham has a drop. Bryson Rodgers on a contested catch didn't come up with the ball, and that kind of fed them a little bit. They talked a little bit about it. I feel like Carnell would have caught both of those. Then against UCLA, Julian goes 18 for 21 in the first half. The second half, with Jeremiah out, he was 5 of 11. And now they're really singing that song, right? So just based on that, the people who want to bash him already, which there are a lot because they think the season for him has been boring and having a boring season isn't the most outstanding, they're taking knocks at him for that, which is pretty unbelievable as you look at the glossing and glazing that Mendoza got for beating Penn State, pulling out a good win in a great last drive, but putting himself in the position to have to do that against a 3-6 team. And it didn't even last a week for him, because then we see Marcel Reed, Texas A&M's quarterback, essentially lose the Heisman in the first half, down 30-3 at home against 3-6 South Carolina, and then coming all the way back in the second half, and Texas A&M wins the game. A comeback that he needed to make because he was so bad. What if he was just good in the first half and good in the second? It wouldn't be some huge standout performance. It would just be a win against the 3-6 team. But the fact that he got himself in a hole and then came back and had a great second half, that's the reason that he is now surging up the board in the Heisman Trophy race. He's number 3, and he's the guy with all the juice. He's got all the juice. And where are the Heisman odds here? Let me pull them up for you. These people are like children, to be honest. The people that break down college football sometimes, they remind me of children. Whatever's shiny and new and exciting is the thing. And it's kind of embarrassing. Here are those Heisman odds. Fernando Mendoza is at plus 100. Julian Sayin now plus 200, which still fantastic. Marcel Reed plus 500. And Pavia is way out of it. Now, I'm surprised Gunnar Stockton didn't rise up a little bit in those odds, to be quite frank. I would have Gunnar Stockton right up there with Marcel Reed. But when we talk about Julian's setup here, if Julian has a great game and beats Michigan, then he now gets one of those big buzz games like the two of them just got, Mendoza and Marcel Reed. And then he goes head-to-head against Mendoza. And look, people are just people. You know what I heard yesterday? It's a numbers award, and Sayin just doesn't have the numbers. Like, people don't even understand, dude. Sayin has the same numbers as Reed and Mendoza. None of them stick out in any category except for Sayin's accuracy. That's the only category that one of those guys really stands out from the pack. But all he's got to do is have a great game against Michigan, win the game, and then go ball out in the Big Ten championship. And I think he wraps it up. I think he's going to get it if he does those two things. So I want it. I know a lot of you guys don't care, but I do. I would really love to have that. It's been too long, and that trophy needs to come back to the Woody. Now, I want to tell you this amazing stat here, or not stat, but this count. So On3 just redid their updated rankings. And I went through all the 5 stars and tallied them up. Now, the SEC plus Miami and Houston, essentially all the schools from the South, 13 total 5 stars. the Big Ten plus Notre Dame, West Virginia, and Utah, and I got a ruling from Doug Lesmerises on this. Where does Utah fit? I don't know. He said that we claim them. They're north. Okay. How many? 18, 19, 19. This is the first time that I can remember in my life the northern schools absolutely drubbing the southern schools for 5-star talent. That just doesn't happen. Now, Notre Dame, a huge boon here, guys, as Marcus Freeman has something that you rarely see. I've seen it maybe twice in all the time I followed recruiting. I think Alabama 1 year had 7 5-stars, which was insane. Ohio State in the class of 2021 had a boatload of 5-stars. It was like, gosh, was it 5 stars? It might have been 7 on 247. But the point is, Notre Dame has 6 5-stars. 6 5-stars for Marcus Freeman. That's insane. They're doing it right, man. He has turned that into an absolute recruiting machine, a place that you could not get that kind of talent forever and ever and ever. And all of a sudden, Marcus Freeman has got 6 5-stars in a class. So obviously helps the North tremendously. Ohio State, Michigan, both with 3. Oregon and USC, both with 2. West Virginia's got 1. That's the kid that we should have got. He's now a 5-star. Kevin Brown, the lineman from Penn State. Yeah, he's a 5-star. And some bad news on Sam Greer. Sam Greer, my dude out of Hoban, dropped from number 14 to number 33, which is literally 1 spot out of 5-star status. Now, this is not the final ranking. Got an opportunity to move up, but will he have an opportunity? I was so pissed that they literally dropped him 1 spot down. The good news, Jay Timmons, who is the corner that we just flipped from Florida State, now the number 1 cornerback in the country. Chris Henry Jr. back up to the number 1 wide receiver in the country, and Kari Wilder, the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, which that's insane. We got 3 number 1s at 3 pretty crucial positions, right? So love that. But let's pop on and take a call. We got a couple callers here before I hit my last segment, and we'll pop on with my man here. He looks ready to go.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good.
What do you got for us?
I'm a rival fan, but I'm one of those nice ones.
Okay.
So that injury to me, a limp. I never seen he limping, but it's kind of strange. It looks like it wasn't a normal limp.
I got to agree. It looked strange, and it looked like, to me, it looked a little different on the sideline than it did in the tunnel. And I got to say,
when he played in the first half,
yeah.
Well, when they walked, so after when he was running, he wasn't limping. So what changed? You think it's a growing pain?
I think that what happens is the last couple of games, he's really sore, whatever injury, whatever the nagging injury is, it gets really sore after he plays. And we're just not used to seeing it because he's in the locker room by then. But when he's got his juices flowing and when he's rolling, it's not bothering him. Maybe they're shooting him up with Novocaine when he's playing or something. But I don't think it's an injury that's going to hamper him moving forward. What's your which rival are you a fan of?
The team up north.
Oh, okay, gotcha. What brings you on the Buckeye Huddle primetime tonight?
I've been watching your show for about a year and a half, and I had some questions.
Oh, you got some questions for me. Go ahead. Shoot, buddy.
Oh, yeah. We all know that back in the the 2010s, the SEC, they used to dominate the season. But now since how did it switch to the Big Ten? They dominating the postseason, and
Yeah.
and why they fans don't like the fact that the SEC the dominant days is over with.
No, they don't like it. They don't like it, and they don't like to admit it, and they fight very hard for it, and they come up with every possible excuse or spin numbers to try to deny it. But the truth is, back when they were claiming their dominance, what did they say? They said, we've won this many championships out of this many years. That's what they said. And that is what proved the dominance. That's what they said proved the dominance. So we're just using their standard, right? Who's winning the championship?
They are,
That's their
but
standard. No, we're winning the championships. They were winning the championships. So now the North has the championships. You got Michigan, you got Ohio State. We'll see what happens this year. And we're on top right now.
have y'all been tested yet on defense?
Tested for what?
On defense?
No. I don't think that Ohio State's been tested by a great offense. It looked like Washington was going to have a great offense, but they ended up not having a very good offense. What they did to Damon Williams to totally shut him down was pretty doggone impressive. Early on, until the second.
What about that Texas game?
I don't think Texas had an offense that was very capable earlier on in the year. They're coming around a little bit better now, but you saw them against Georgia too. They're not that good of an offense. The thing is, for me, the Ohio State defense, no, we haven't seen them tested, but I know what a great defense looks like at Ohio State because we've seen so many of them and we know what they look like from one to the next. And this defense with the personnel they got, the way they're playing and the schemes that they're running, no, we haven't seen it. So you can't say for sure, but I don't feel like there's
how can they replace the four seniors that hold teams to under 10 points a game, the four new guys before the Penn State game, but they was holding teams under 5 points a game. How's that impossible? Replacing four guys on your the defensive line that just won a national title. The four new guys is outperforming them. How's that impossible?
Well, brother, we were trying to tell him we got these guys coming up the pipeline. Just because everybody else hasn't seen them doesn't mean they're not there. They're there and they waited. And it's one of the most impressive things we've seen in modern college football that you had guys like Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry sit around for 3 years and not go anywhere. And you know what they said? We're here for Coach J. That's what they said. Larry Johnson. And that's a huge advantage. But I appreciate you calling so much, buddy. I'm going to go to the next caller.
Well, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Georgia had never lost to Nick Saban, but do you think that changes who wins the national title in 23?
My personal opinion is that Georgia would have beat Michigan in 23. That's my personal opinion, but I understand if you disagree. Who knows? I don't like to play hypothetical games because that's the SEC's favorite thing to do, and they would also say that. But I thought that 23 Georgia team was really, really good, and they kind of lost on a couple of fluky turnovers against Alabama in that SEC championship game. I would have liked to seen them in that playoff and seen what they could have done.
Jordan saying, will he be able to produce 300 passing yards without Smith and Carnell?
I think that for that to happen, he would need to have a couple of weeks of practice dedicated with Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham, Brandon Innes, and Bryson Rogers. But right now, as it looked in that second half of the UCLA game, no, not like that. No, they need some more reps together for sure.
Yeah, because when I saw that, I thought that he got benched when they put in the other quarterback. I thought that he
Oh, you
got
thought they
benched for
benched him?
playing terrible, but
No,
somebody had told me that JJ had JJ Smith, that he went
yeah.
down, and that's why.
No, they definitely didn't bench him. They wanted to get Lincoln some reps. By the way, Lincoln looked really good. I feel very, very confident in the backup quarterback at Ohio State. He made a
What did
great
the rain
throw.
day mean? But later down the line, I know it's not the workers. Do you think he trying to say the Michigan or facing Indiana, or without saying it?
No, I'm like, there's no way in my mind that those guys aren't playing against Michigan. Like that's what some people are hinting at. No chance. It's all systems go. It's all systems go for the Michigan game. It's
For
a
that
must have.
to happen, one of them will have to play, but next week and hurt themselves even more for that to happen.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to sit next week. So, all right, my man. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you watching.
I I I I I I, I found your channel when you did a show with college football with Sam.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how
Well,
I found your channel.
appreciate you following, man. Hey, good luck to you next week. We want you to come in 9-2. No excuses. Go win the game against Maryland so we can do this.
Yeah.
All right, take care, buddy. Hey, that was a nice guy. That was a nice guy from up north. So, again, if anybody wants to call whenever I do this, and I think what I'm going to do is moving forward, probably just put that link at the bottom of every show. And, if you want to call in at the end of the show, I'll just have a couple people call in. Why not? Right. It's always fun. I usually pull up your guys' chats anyway at the end and just kind of rabble rouse with you guys. What's up, Sage? Brandingo, how we doing, guys? Larry Johnson, DL Sensei. Yes, he is. Sam Greer at Hoban, automatic 5-star. Oh, I got to show you guys something. And we got another caller here we'll grab in a minute here. Donovan, I'll be coming to you in a minute. But check this out. CJ Bronaugh. CJ Bronaugh is the number 7 cornerback in the country. He will be making his decision in about a week. Notice where he's ranked, just one notch above Albert Hill from Hoban, who the Buckeyes missed out on. He defected and went to USC. So if the Buckeyes are able to land CJ Bronaugh, that means they've got the number 1 corner in Jay Timmons, the number 7 corner in CJ Bronaugh, both higher rated than Albert Hill, and the number 20 corner in Jordan Thomas. It also means Jordan Thomas, who was Ohio State's number 1 corner on their board, he's the 3rd rated corner in the class. And that's saying something. CJ Bronaugh, 6'2", a 10-3, 100 meter guy, long limbed. Things went really great on his official visit. And I love the sound of that. But there is more good news, 2 more pieces of good news, as Dre Quinn has moved up to 350. But Nick Latour, the tight end that Ohio State just got yesterday, who was committed to Louisville. I did a video on him earlier today. If you want to check it out a little more in depth on Juck on Bucks, but at the time we did not have this. So now Nick Latour, who was ranked outside the top 1,000, a 3-star, is now a blue chipper. Nick, a 4-star per Rivals and a top 300 player, which means they got around to taking a look at him. All right, Ohio State offered, we got to take a look at this kid. They looked at him and said, whoa, they got something here. He's now a top 300 kid. And that's awesome. So another blue chipper with Nick Latour. And Nick Latour, to me, is a guy that very much reminds me of the way things went with Jake Cook last year. I was talking to Nick Latour throughout this process, and you guys know I was talking about him. I wanted Ohio State to offer him. And a lot of the reason was not just that I think he's a really good player and a deserving player, but it felt like Keenan might not take a tight end in this class. And I wanted him to take a tight end in this class because you got this kid. He's a 6'5", 225-pound wrestler that has a frame to get up to about 255, 260. He's a savage blocker, lines out at wide receiver, great hands, and he absolutely loves Ohio State and wanted this more than anything, similar to Jake. And he was right there. He was this close, man. And he was all up on it. He was all up on, was Corbin Fordham going to flip out of the class? Was he going to flip to Florida State? Corbin Fordham flips. Okay, what's the deal with Max Sutter? How's Keenan doing with Max Sutter? Is Max Sutter going to commit? Like, he was all in on it, so much so that you just knew, like, my gosh, this dude wants it so bad. And to me, when you've got someone that wants it that bad and you've got the numbers to take them and they qualify as a guy that you would potentially take, man, get him in the class. You got room, get him in the class. And now here we go. He's a top 300 player. Don B, what's up, brother? Terry, that's good sportsmanship. That was a nice guy, wasn't he? He was a nice guy. I liked him. All right, we got another caller. I don't know if he's still here. Donovan, you there?
Yo, Jack, what's up? How you doing?
Good. What's up, brother?
Just chilling.
What do you got for us tonight?
So I only got to see the UCLA game once. I didn't rewatch it. But in watching it, I seen that our running game was doing really good.
Yeah.
Noticed that when Tigra was out the game, we were running good. But when Tigra was in the game, it wasn't looking too hot. So what do you think? Do you think they're going to, Van Sickle was doing really good. You think they're going to bench him for Van Sickle?
So you got the whole Padilla situation as well. And Padilla, I think Padilla, obviously, he's a little further advanced in his development than Gabe Van Sickle.
Right.
But Gabe is now, like you said, he played a really good game. And when we look at Padilla, who's been injured, when he comes back, what's the situation now? Are they still going to give Van Sickle some run and Padilla? Are they going to abandon the Padilla situation altogether and just say, Gabe, you're looking good enough, we're going to roll with you? Or potentially, do we see Tegra get benched altogether in favor of a rotation with just Padilla and Van Sickle? I think that definitely what we've seen is the last of Tegra being the guy that eats up half of those snaps in the game. There's about 60. He has about 45. Well, last game he only had 24. Yeah. And I think we'll continue to see that drop down. But it's clear that they think they've found a better option, I think, in Van Sickle and in Padilla. And if that's the case, we've all seen it for how many games now? Tegra started 26 games in his career at Ohio State. And if it's not getting better by this point, it's just not gonna.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options that the coaching staff can do, but all the options seem better than Tigra. So it can only go up. Yeah, I had a lot of faith in Tigra going into this year, but it's just like rookie mistakes. Like, and he started for how many games? You said
26 games.
Wow. Yeah. It's just I mean, if he's not there yet, I don't know if he's ever going to get there, honestly. So
Tegra was a massive get for the Buckeyes. He was a top 50 overall recruit, almost a 5-star.
Right.
And I was so excited for him because his high school film, dude, he is a mauler. Like, I mean, he's angry too, like throwing dudes down and it looks like, my gosh, these guys are getting another Paris Johnson. And he comes to Ohio State. He's like, I don't know, he plays feeble. It just doesn't look like the same kid.
Right.
So anyway, my man, I appreciate you calling, man. Call back anytime.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right, you have a good one.
All right. Thank you to Devin for calling in. That was pretty fun. Having a couple call-ins. Especially one from the opposite side. No longer the man. What happened? Hey, Chuck, do you think this is the most anticipated Ohio State-Michigan game of all time? I believe the rivalry has never been better than right now. Wow, man. So when you say never been better, I believe it's never been more intense. I believe it's never been more hateful. I believe it's never been more kind of gross. I don't know if that's better. There were times in my life where it felt more, gosh, this sounds so corny, but more pure, more like inside the lines. And now it's like outside the lines where like there's, I just like, I feel, and a lot of Ohio State fans, and probably a lot of them for us, just feel a lot of revulsion because it got to such a fevered pitch. And since the Stallion situation, it has not come down. And it's just like, I don't know. I think a lot of it also depends on if you interact on social media. And if you interact in the college football space on social media, there's no getting away from the toxicity of the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. It's toxic as hell. It's gross. And because of all that, it has never been at such anticipated. I would agree with you. I don't know if the most anticipated, like, we've had a couple of serious bangers, but this one is like the elements behind it, with the last two national champions meeting up again, Ohio State having not won since 2019, which every time I say it, man, every time I say it, I say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. We haven't seen Ohio State win since 2019. That's what it is. And Ryan Day needs to end this streak. But from my standpoint, yeah, I can't remember anticipating one as much as this. This monkey has got to come off of our backs. It's got to come off. They cannot have another year to hold this over our heads. As much as, some people want to slough this crap off and say, well, what's it matter? And say things like, does Kansas City care that they lost to Buffalo in week 3 when they're in the playoffs or when they're in the Super Bowl? Like, I'm not trying to hear that BS. Get out of here with that. So never been more intense. I agree with you. Never been better. I think there were times in my life I certainly liked it better. Without a doubt. I don't know. I'd like to hear some more opinions on that, though. And in the comments in the video, if you want to answer a question, I would like to hear Big Ten championship or the game. If you had an option of winning one, which do you care more about? Mozart's Ghost says the Big Ten championship actually doesn't matter now. The game is still real, though. Emily, who are you talking about here? Emily says, Richie, I've never seen a fan base waver so much. They may lose a lot of people here soon and more empty seats. Terry, Juck, depending on how severe Jordan Marshall's shoulder is, he could be questionable for the game. I'm curious if he plays this Saturday. Terry, is that why he wasn't playing at the end of the Northwestern game? I didn't even hear that was a shoulder. I was just kind of pinging back in one game to the next. I have a hard time watching them all the way through. Their team is revolting, just like some of their fans. Oh, we got another caller. You take that back right now. You take it back, Emily. Take that back right now. You did not just say you've never seen a fan base waver more than Cleveland Browns fans. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea what we've been through? Do you have any idea what it's like to go through 30 years of this franchise and we're still there every week? Cleveland Browns fans are the best football fans in the world. Nobody else would put up with the kind of crap that we put up with for this long and remained even 15,000 people in that flipping piece of crap stadium on top of it? Nobody. The best football fans in the entire world. All right. This is not an NFL show. Cookie, what's up? It's a call-in show. Everybody's invited to call in, but Emily is on timeout this evening. Let's go to the line. My man Rome.
Chuck,
What's up, brother?
what's going on, man?
We got Rome on the line with us, guys. Rome
Yes,
is on the
sir.
line.
How you doing,
Rome,
man?
good, Rome. Did you go to Notre Dame last week?
No, Georgia.
You went to Georgia.
Yeah, this past week, and we're going to Texas this coming week, man. So
All right, so hold on. Let me set this up for everybody. So Rome, guys, Rome is who we've talked about several times. His nephew is the number 5 rated tight end, Jackson Dollar, in the country in the class of 2027 that Ohio State's recruiting. And when he says he went to the Georgia game on a visit with Jackson to check out Georgia after checking out Columbus. All right, Rome. So tell us about the visit. You had a night game against Texas. Obviously, it was a massive game. It looked like a sensational atmosphere and show. How'd it go down?
hey, well, honestly, on this trip, I missed this one, man. I missed this.
Oh,
So
you missed it.
I missed this one, but they had a good time, man. The atmosphere is there. Athens is always, it's a college town. So
Yeah.
Athens is a great atmosphere, man. It is like they had a great time. Night game. Um, Enjoyed the coaching staff, from all the feedback I got. But I was a little disappointed. I was hoping Texas would put up a little bit more of a fight and
Yeah.
going forward to where we're going this coming weekend, it just would have been a nice setup to end the season because this is the last trip we're gonna make, and hopefully start narrowing things down, man. But I really wanted it to be a better game, for Jackson, to witness. Hoping Texas would do a little better than they did, as we all would have liked as football fans. But it's
Yeah.
it's a great experience though, man, for him. I mean, like I said, he just turned 16. It's just wild for this kid, man. Just watching him grow, like just ridiculous, dude.
That
Like,
dude's 16. Are you kidding me?
yeah, he just turned 16, Chuck, man.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, man. He's
yeah,
a
it's crazy.
monster.
It's crazy. So, but it's all good things, man. It's kind of blowing him away, like, but looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it, and just uh, all in all the coaches have been great. Everywhere he's went. There's been a couple red carpets rolled out. We'll
Yeah.
keep that between us right now,
Yeah.
but it's a great experience, man. I'm just blessed. He's blessed. I'm happy for him, the family. He's got a great family, man, and I appreciate your support and everything you guys have done. I mean, just you personally. Like you said, from day one, I just sent you some film way back in the day on him, and you're like, whatever, dude. Then you start looking at it, and you're like, oh, all right, well, he may actually know what he's talking about,
Yeah, man. Kid's legit. He's legit as hell. I'd love to see
Yeah.
him in the scarlet and gray for sure.
Hey, and he's number 3 now, man. Get it right. He's not 5 anymore. He's number 3.
Oh my gosh, my man's
Yeah.
moved up to 3.
Yeah, it's
God
number
damn.
3. Get it right, man. Get it right.
Look at me. I'm over here talking about updated rankings, and I didn't even check that.
Well,
I'll be damned.
it depends on whose board you're on, but
Yeah.
he's he could be 5, but he could be 1A, 1B on a couple boards, and I like the 1A and 1Bs where he's at on the boards that he's on. So I'll just
No doubt.
leave it at that, man. But
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, man. But want to call in, show my support, man. You're doing a great job.
I
Great job.
appreciate you, brother. Thanks for
Yeah,
calling in.
man.
I'll holler at you later.
Yes, sir. Later.
And that is our man Rome, his nephew Jackson. Certainly a target on Keenan Bailey's on the top of his list as we move along into the class of 2027 that now has, I believe, 7 commitments as the Buckeyes picked up a massive commitment in the class on the defensive side of the ball on Friday. And that is Eli Johnson, a 6'3", 200-pound safety who moves like a safety, not a kid who's going to have to move to linebacker, going to play safety, and he is a total monster. Total monster. Matt Guerrieri is absolutely killing it, and I don't know that anybody thought that Matt Guerrieri would be such a ridiculous recruiter. He just seems like kind of an unassuming, just kind of a guy who you wouldn't expect to be a great recruiter. I don't know how else to say it. Just, a ho-hum kind of just a normal, I don't know, a young husband kind of nerdy film guy. And he's just killed it. He's killed it. He has number one target every cycle. Every cycle. Faheem Delane, check. Blaine Bradford, check. By the way, Braylon Womack, no longer a 5-star. Check, check, check. And now Eli Johnson. Ching. Great stuff. Great stuff. Oh, Jason's a Bengals fan. So he lived 90 to 2004. He knows what's up. It's really ironic that we look at the and maybe it has a lot to do with what Ohio State has as a fan base and support, that the two professional franchises in the state of Ohio are both a couple of the most trash franchises with lousy ownership in the entire NFL. It helps Ohio State, right? Tanya, what's up, Tanya? Tanya says, hey, Chuck, what are your thoughts about Michigan possibly leaving the Big Ten? Oh, I got a lot of thoughts on that one. Well, for starters, I am not a fan of Tony Petitti. I'm not a fan of his leadership. I'm not a fan of the direction. I don't like that the conference now has 18 teams. I think that it would be much better and smarter if you could somehow get rid of some of the cellar dwellers that don't invest in football, and we could just kind of go down the recruiting class rankings, and I'll just point them out to you. If you can't finish higher than this, and this, get the hell out, because you're taking $100 million from the TV contract that everybody who's investing in football is affording you, and you don't reinvest it in football. You spend it on other things, and you say, no, keep me in the conference. Keep me in the conference. Matter of fact, sign this deal here that will keep me attached to you till 2046. I'm 100% with Michigan on this. Not so much because I care about the private equity or private investment, whatever you want to call it, deal, but because Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State and USC and Oregon and everybody who invests in their program and cares about football does not need to be signing their rights on in this ever-changing landscape to 2046 with a bunch of schools at the bottom that don't give a damn about football and only want the deal to attach themselves to those schools because they're their cash cow. So I wish Ohio State was with Michigan on this. I think Michigan has the proper stance. USC is also with Michigan on this, but USC, ironically or unironically, has this stance only because of one thing, and it's because Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan are the top tier. USC and Oregon are the second tier. USC is against this because they're in the second tier, which is minimal amount of money from 2 to 1. It's a pride thing for them. But that's why they're with Michigan on this. And the Big Ten now threatening to take a vote without them. And you got people puffing their chest. We don't need Michigan. Well, Michigan doesn't need the Big Ten. Michigan, nor Ohio State, nor Penn State need the Big Ten. Any one of those programs could be independent, just like Notre Dame. Ohio State and Michigan would both be, I think, really successful as independents, just like Notre Dame. And they would make a lot of money, just like Notre Dame. So and then Michigan keeps themselves free if anything happens. But the thing is, if the Big Ten signs this deal and the grant of rights moves to 2046, Well, the odds of a super conference happening are, pretty much over. Now, you may want a super conference, you may not. I'll tell you what, I never did want it, but now that we're looking at what these big conferences look like, the super conference, I just feel like you could get in, maybe find a way to trim some of the fat. And by the fat, trimming the fat, you would get less of these. For instance, Ohio State's schedule this year, it shouldn't be possible. It should not be possible for Ohio State to play in the best conference in football or the second best conference in football and have 5 straight games against opponents that they're 30-point favorites over. Shouldn't be possible. So something's got to be done. You don't play Indiana. You don't play Oregon. You don't play USC. Ohio State didn't play Nebraska. 4 didn't play Iowa. 5 of the best teams in the Big Ten. We didn't get to play any of them. They got to do a better job with the scheduling. And then there's the whole thing. Well, you can't just have the good teams play the good teams every year. That'll be unfair to the good teams and the bad teams who need them to come to their stadiums to make money. I don't know what the answer is, but the answer was never to go to 18 teams. So the worst move they made, which they'll probably say was a great move, was bringing in Rutgers and Maryland to get that East Coast money. I don't know, man. How many of those East Coast households watch college football? I would love to know that number. How many New Jersey and New York folks even care about college football? It's all pro town. Boy, you got me rolling on this one there, Tanya. Anyway, I don't think that Michigan will leave the Big Ten. I think everybody's posturing right now. But if they were to, I would I don't know. There's part of me that would want Ohio State to do the same thing. Richie Dubs, we're going to call in every Monday and Wednesday, every show. I'm just going to leave this open and we'll take phone calls at the end of the show when I'm done with my segment. So long as we don't get burned with a really bad one or something. But you see how I orchestrated that where I can pull just the voice up or the face. I made this new window where it's actually like they're being pulled up because I couldn't figure out how to not pull them up, but I've got their box hidden behind that little Buckeye Huddle logo. See why I got that logo up there? They're hidden right behind that. Wasn't that clever? Clever of me, wasn't it? Jason thinks it was more hateful in the 80s and the 90s. I don't agree with that. Cookie thinks we got it this year. Is saying ready for the big house. Loud fans. Man, they're not loud in the big house. Come on, Thunder Redmond. Richie thinks that we need to be on Michigan and USC's side on this. And he doesn't appear thrilled by Ross Bjork, but he won't say anything. If you're Michigan, how do you plan on attacking Ohio State's defense and scoring points, man? That's a tough task. Obviously, Arvell is not going to let Bryce Underwood run around, so that's not going to work out well for him. He's going to have to dice up the defense with his arm, and there are a couple of routes that he can throw pretty good. They don't happen to be any of the ones down the field much, so explosive plays are, that's probably out of it. Speckmeister says, I'm not a part of the Buckeyes athletic training department, but if I was, I would play Tate, but a snap count and let JJ rest. Also, if we're up at halftime, pull saying. Manfred says, if there were a super conference 3 years ago, Indiana would not be in it. Teams that were good 100 years ago are not good today. Teams that are good today may not be good in 100, 200, and 300 years. Yeah, I mean, the ideal scenario, Manfred, would be to hit the reset button and go back to how we had it with the Pac-12 and everybody back to the way it was, that was the ideal situation. It was the best. There's no doubt about that. There were not too many teams to totally water down a schedule in a conference. Anyway. All right, friends. I do appreciate you for joining me as we have now done the longest Buckeye Huddle prime time that we've ever done. We are now at 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's been a fantastic Monday evening with you. But your boy has got to get rolling. And of course, we will be back here on Wednesday at 8 p.m. And again, in the description of the video, I will have the link to call in. And all you got to do is click that link and you can watch the show. It'll just pull you in the back here behind the wall with me in the studio. And then I'll pull you up when we're ready. So please do like the show. Please subscribe to Buckeye Huddle. And if you wouldn't mind, when you're over at Juck on Bucks, watching me over there, make sure you're subscribed to that channel as well. That's what we need to keep these things rolling. So thank you all so much for joining me. As always, you have been delightful to chat with about the things we enjoy the most. Now go enjoy your family the most, as I will mine. I'll see you later. Buckeye Huddle Primetime.